welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Well, I hope this will be Monday's edition. I'm having terrible internet trouble today, which you can imagine if you're a YouTuber, it doesn't make for a worryless existence. I've been trying just now to find the planetary fact for today, but I simply can't. My internet is completely down, and that means even if I do manage to solve this puzzle, I might not be able to upload it, which will lead me to have to use one of my sort of pre-recorded videos, which I do have a very small bank of. But if you work on internet repairs in Surrey, please make sure that the internet to this part of the world works smoothly, because otherwise, well, there might not be a Cracking the Cryptic video from me for a few days. Anyway, what are we going to be trying to do today? Well, a quite terrifying puzzle, frankly. This is called A Wonderful Discovery, and it's by Damasosos92. I have done a Damasosos92 puzzle on the channel before. It was very difficult and very clever, and this puzzle is dedicated to none other than Gliperal. Now, there is basically no more terrifying name in the world of Sudoku than Gliperal. So to dedicate a puzzle to Gliperal is a truly terrifying thing. And I have read the rules of this one, and they are also quite terrifying. You can see there's some mathematics involved. We've got some X's outside the grid. And I'll just tell you that these spots, they represent the middles of 3x3 boxes that are not depicted because they all overlap with each other. So this spot is a 3x3 box that is there. This spot is a 3x3 box that lives there. And each of these 3x3 boxes, indicated by their centres, has to not have a repeated digit in it. And these green lines are German whispers. It is a mental rule set. I've no idea why it's called A Wonderful Discovery. I was hoping to look on Logic Masters Germany and find out what rating it's got. I can't even do that. I suppose I am fortunate that I managed to get the link working earlier. But yeah, it's all going Pete Tong today. But anyway, I'm going to attempt anyway to record this video. What can I tell you about before we actually read the rules properly? I have got a birthday to do today. Nico, you've turned 20 today, and I know that you're from Amsterdam, but at the moment you are travelling round Australia with your friend German. Is it German or German? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But basically, apparently, the two of you met because you booked on the same tour of Oz, and you've become good friends really quickly because of a shared love of Sudoku and indeed of Cracking the Cryptic. Isn't that wonderful? So, Nico, I hope you have an absolutely brilliant day. They do good chocolate cake in Australia, so I think you will have a fine culinary day at least. And yeah, many happy returns. Now, the other thing I need to mention, I can't do a planetary fact today, as I mentioned, because I can't get one. I can't read stuff. But the other thing I need to mention does relate to our Patreon, where we've got the Planet Suite as this month's monthly reward. But last month's monthly reward, I think it was last month's, was DiMono's Jewels of Osiris. Which was this incredible sort of story where in order to access the later chapters of the story, you had to solve puzzles. Well, I can tell you that DiMono has decided he's going to make a sequel to the Jewels of Osiris called The Tidings of Minos. And he's going to run a Kickstarter for that. So we're going to put a link to the Kickstarter under this video, hopefully. And check that out. If you want to support DiMono's sequel, then you'll be able to do that and get hold of another Sudoku hunt with a story, which is, I think, a very nice idea. Apart from that, I can tell you that on our own Patreon, July's monthly reward, I think we're going to call it Let's Get Kraken, themed around the Kraken and certain other things to do with to do with Clash of the Titans, perhaps. We'll see. But we're working on that at the moment, and that should be jolly exciting. Now, anyway, that all said and done. Why don't we start solving, or at least attempting to solve, a wonderful discovery, and let's find out what this wonderful discovery is and what Damasosos 92 has in store for us. So these are the rules. As I said before, every little circle is the centre of a 3x3 box. Fill the grid with the numbers 1 to 9 so that each row, each column, where's my phone buzzing? That's okay. Each row, each column, and each aforementioned box, that in each row, column, and aforementioned box, each digit occurs exactly once. So it's basically normal Sudoku rules. Subject to the... So it's quite weird, isn't it? So that is not necessarily a 3x3 box, but that is. And so is that. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some mad set theory going on today, I think. Adjacent digits along green lines must differ by at least 5. So these are normal so-called German whispers lines. So if this square here was a 1, this square, the next square would have to be at least 6, because it needs to be at least 5 different. So it could be 6, 7, 8, or 9. Digits along an indicated diagonal must sum to the given total. So those two sum to x, these sum to x plus 1. The value of x has to be determined by the solver. So that would be a very nice thing to know, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video, as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I've got this, in the corner of your computer screen, there's this thing that shows whether you're connected to the internet, and I can see at the moment there's just a line through it. So I might get very excited if during the video that suddenly perks up. Right. How do we start this? How do we get cracking with this? You see, I don't think I can do this, but I will just mention it while I think of it. If this was a 3x3 box, which it would be in a normal Sudoku puzzle, that digit, there would be lots of interesting things we could do with the German whisper line. Because along a German whisper line, there's a few property. Oh, 5. 5 in the middle row is a bit restricted, isn't it? I can suddenly see that. Because there must be a 5 in the middle row, because each row has got one of the digits 1 to 9 once each. And 5 can never go on a green line. Let's just work out why that is. If we put 5 on the green line, what's the next digit? Well, if we go upwards, it's got to be at least 5 different, so we get to 10 or higher. And if we go downwards, we get to 0 or negative numbers, and they aren't valid Sudoku digits. So 5 definitely doesn't go on a green line. So 5 is in one of those 3 cells. I don't think I can do anything with that. But the other property of green lines is because you can't put the digit 5 on the green line, each digit can be divided into 2 categories. It's either below 5 or above 5. And the interesting thing is that, say this digit here was below 5, then these 2 digits would both have to be above 5. And then the next digits would have to be below 5 again. So you have to oscillate polarity along green lines. Now, yeah, so I was thinking if this was a 3x3 box, whatever this square was, it would have to be extreme. It would have to be 1 or 9, because it would need to have all 4 of its opposite polarity neighbours available to it. So if we put 1 here, this would have to be 6, 7, 8, and 9. But the reason I'm sceptical as to whether I can make that deduction here is that, of course, relies on all of these digits having to be different, which they would be if blue was a real 3x3 box, but we have no circled cell in the centre. So let me just think about this for a second. In fact, this is so horrible. This is so horrible. Look at these sort of patterns you can build. It's like a fist and fell ring of horrors, isn't it? Because Yeah, what you're going to get here is stripes of... Yeah, I can see that one thing you're going to get is stripes. I want to say that those... I mean, this is a mental thing to start with here, but I'm just going to mention it because I can see this as being true. These cells, each of these little rectangles, contains the same 3 digits, I think. And that's just basic set theory, isn't it? So if we look at this, 3 by 3, and then compare it with the 3 by 3 that's around its neighbour here, these digits have to appear somewhere in the orange 3 by 3, don't they? And they can't repeat in the blue 3 by 3, so those digits have to appear there. And then once we've done that, so once we've worked out that these are both the blue stripes, we can just repeat that logic again, can't we? So this 3 by 3, let's make it green all of a sudden, and this 3 by 3, they overlap. So where do these blue digits appear in the yellow 3 by 3? Well, they can't repeat in the green 3 by 3, so they have to go over there. So there's a sort of weird stripy effect along this row. And I suppose along that row as well. So those 3 digits as well. So these are sort of, it's like a fruit machine, isn't it? So, you know, if this was 1, 2, 3, this would have to be 1, 2, 3 in a different order. This would have to be 1, 2, 3 in a different order. And if this was 4, 5, 6, these would have to be in a different order. And then these cells form a sort of a disjoint. They're like a disjoint fruit machine, because these 3 digits... Yeah, so there's an inbuilt swordfish in this puzzle, is what we've suddenly figured out. Because if these digits were 1, 2, and 3, let's just put them in, 1, 2, and 3. The orange digits must be in these 3 squares in column 5, because we know these are the blue and these are the green. So 1, 2, and 3 would have to be in these squares, and the 1, 2, 3 would have to be in those squares, which means obviously none of those squares could then be 1, 2, and 3. Oh, the alarm's beeping. That might be good. Oh, the internet has come back on, I can just see. That's quite exciting. I just heard our burger alarm switch back on. It'll now probably beep throughout the video. Now, and Maverick's taken off as well, and it's boiling hot. Everything is conspiring against me. It is boiling hot as well. Couldn't sleep last night. Right. Oh, okay. Now I've got something interesting. So I realise I just stopped talking. I'm just trying to think about this. Hang on a moment. Well, okay. Try. I don't quite know where this is going, but this is the interesting thought. Yes, I know. Never ever seek me out at parties. The interesting thought, the thing I thought was interesting, is I can just switch this round, can't I? So this this pattern that exists because of this stripe, or these 2 stripes of circles, exists if we think about those two stripes of circles as well. It must be the same. It must be the same principle, mustn't it? In other words, let's get this right. This is going to be horribly hard to see. But those cells, what colour shall I use to do that? Grey. These cells, let's use red. And these cells have all got exactly the same. This is very complicated. That they have all exactly the same property as we did in the vertical situation, and we can see that. I mean, let's just do it for the greys. We can look at this 3x3 here, which is centered on this dot, and we can see that if we compare this 3x3 with the 3x3 next to it around this dot, these grey cells, because they can't repeat in this one's 3x3, are going to have to go in those squares. So you're going to get exactly the same effect that we looked at in the columns in the rows. And I've now got a fly that's flown in. That's a very buzzy fly. Ah, no, it's a wasp. Go away. This is a nightmare. This is a cursed video. Okay. No, it's back. Go away. If that comes back, if that keeps doing that, I may have to pause the video, because I really do not want to do battle with a sort of persistent wasp. Okay, now, yeah. So the reason I thought this might be interesting is that I can see that each one of these X clues is sort of involved in this pattern. No, it's back again. Go away. Just fly out. So, I don't know. I don't know if you can catch that on the webcam, but it was about there. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Well, sometimes it helps if you take a look away and you get distracted. Right. Come on. Think about this. So we've got grey stripes, red stripes, blue stripes, and green stripes. And each of these is sort of a cycle of fruit machinage. And that leads to these swordfishes on orange and yellow. And that's got right. So orange and yellow share a digit. So you can see that this central square is yellow and orange. And this, right, okay, so that's quite interesting. Yellow and orange, yeah, this digit, whatever it is, let's imagine it's 5. Oh, no, it can't be 5. I picked the only digit it can't be. Let's imagine it's 1. If this digit's 1, then it has to go in at least one of these two positions, in at least one of these two positions, in at least one of these two positions, and in at least one of those two positions. Because it must... Because of the swordfish. Yeah, but I mean, so let me just show you this. If that's a 1, let's look at the orange swordfish first. Well, we know that none of these squares in the orange swordfish are 1, so there must be a 1 in one of these two positions in row 1, and there must be a 1 in one of those two positions in row 9. So there is, so say there was a 1 here and a 1 here in our orange swordfish, then this X clue and this X plus 3 clue, oh okay, hang on, would have 1 on them. Oh, this is getting right. This is quite tricky, actually. Because now, well, now let's think about the yellow swordfish. So the yellow swordfish has to unwind in a different way. Oh, this is really complicated. The yellow swordfish has to unwind in a different way to the orange swordfish. What do I mean by that? Well, Let's look at the yellow swordfish now and ask where 1 goes on it. Well, we know it's not in these 4 squares by Sudoku, so 1 is in one of these 2 squares. Now, if it was here, 1 would be there as well. And that cannot be true, can it? Because this diagonal adds up to x, and this diagonal adds up to x plus 3. And so if you have this, so if we unwind the swordfishes into the same little killer clues, we are going to break the puzzle by forcing these diagonals to have the same sum. Right. So that means if the orange swordfish unwound here, the yellow swordfish would unwind here. So right, so here is a very interesting thing then. This central digit is it's in each, hang on, let's use the pen tool a moment. If we do that, that's each one of these diagonal lines has 1 of the central digit on it, not 2. If any of these have 2 central if any of these black lines have 2 central digits on, their opposite partner will have 2 central digits on by unwinding the swordfish logic, and that will break the puzzle. Now, unfortunately, we can't assume that these are 1s. Now, what? So I know the central digit appears once. So the other digit I don't quite know how I'm going to do this. I mean, I can see that the other digit is always going to therefore be responsible for the difference in the totals, by which I mean, let's go, can I just go, yeah, let's go back here. So, by which I mean, if this adds up to x, let's make this 2. So this is 1 and 2, so this is 3 altogether. Then this one, because it's got 1 in it, x plus 1 is just means the difference between these 2 digits is 1, doesn't it? And this digit is 1 greater than this digit. But this assumes the swordfish unwinds in this very particular pattern. But you can see it doesn't matter. If we change the 1 to 2 and then make this a 3, that will be a 4. In fact, yeah. If that's 3, this will have to be a 1, won't it? Because this is going to add up to 5, so I need this to add up to 3. And the only thing that's going to make that difference is this digit. But the problem is, as I say, we don't know whether the 2, or firstly, we don't know what this digit is. Secondly, we don't know in which direction it unwinds. So we don't know whether it goes here or here on this diagonal. But once we know exactly one of the places it goes, we would be able to. If it goes there, and then it couldn't go here. So yeah, we only need to get this digit into one position, and the whole thing will lock into place, and we would be able to map the other digit around. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and keep track of this. This is the digit we need to get, isn't it? When I say get, I mean I want to know where it goes. in each of these on each of these black lines. Yeah, the other thing about this digit is that it's obviously affected quite a lot by this whisper line. Yeah, okay, what we'll do is we'll use the letter tool to go, we'll call this digit A. Now, if this is A, now which swordfish? We'll unwind this swordfish. So if this is A. Right, so these squares are from A and C. No, I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to put A and C into those squares. These squares are B, C. These squares are A, B. But, yeah, the problem with this is that we're going to end up with a horribly complicated grid here. I'm not sure about this actually now, because what I was thinking I might do is to go now do the orange swordfish. So I'll make this D, because I know that this is legitimate in the sense that there's an ABC triple in this column. So this digit is definitely not A, B or C. So I can label it a new letter. It is definitely different from the letters I've got so far. So that can be D and that can be E. Now, these digits are therefore from A and E. These digits are from D and E. And these digits are from A and D. Now, in this column and this row, we've sort of positioned A, B, C, D and E. I mean, what I'm trying to see is, is it important that because I know DE repeats within the grey fruit machine. Oh, I'll tell you what I've not looked at. I've not looked at this clue. 6x. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, this might be where I was meant to start. Oh no, no, hang on. I'm just wondering if I can limit x a bit, because this one here, this 3 by 3, forces those 3 digits on the 6x diagonal to all be different. So let's put some digits in here. So this could be 7, 8, 9 as a maximum. That could be 9. This one, well, okay, let's do this the other way around. Let's go 7, 8, 9 like that. Then this one, those 2 digits could be 9 and 8. And then that one, that could be 9 again, I think. I don't think this one is affected by any 3 by 3. So I think the absolute maximum along this diagonal is something like this. 24, 41, 18, 59. So it's under 10. Actually, that is interesting. Let me just double check the maths on that. 36, I'll do it the other way round. 36, 40, yeah, 59. So 59. So if this added up to 60, x could be 10. But it doesn't. So x is 9 as a maximum. Okay, so these two add up to a maximum of 9. That's not actually that good, because if you think about the average Sudoku digit, it would be a 5, so the average value of this would be 10, and all I've worked out is it's got a maximum value now of 9, so it's very slightly on the low side. Okay, so maybe this wasn't, maybe this wasn't what we were meant to do. Okay. Sorry, I realise I've just stopped talking. I can't. I don't really want to bring more letters into it. Do I have to bring more letters into it? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I. Let's just do it. F, G, H, I. Now, we know from the German whisper okay, so F, A, and I are all of the same polarity. So imagine they were low, i.e. they're the less than 5 digits, they would all have to be from 1, 2, 3, and 4. If they're high, they've all got to be from 6, 7, 8, and 9. And G and H are the opposite polarity. So yeah, okay. So that means those two digits have to be G and H, don't they? Because, yes, okay, if you look at this column, because we had the same digits left over to put into this cross of digits here, in both cases I hadn't put in F, G, H, and I, because I had put in A, B, C, D, and E. Now, if these two have to be opposite polarity to A, but F and I are the same polarity as A. So the only options for these two squares are G and H, which means these two squares are F and I. And so F, A, and I are all of one polarity. The 5. Which is the 5 then? So the 5 is not one of those digits. So the 5 is B, C, or what? Not that one, that one. Because this one can't be, but this is D or E. We don't know where. This is so difficult. This really is hard. It's hard to understand. I feel like there's a very real possibility I've missed a very important point about this, the geometry. So, I mean, I've got obsessed with these cycling fruit machines. Hang on, FG. I'm still obsessed with them. Yeah, so you can sort of see. I now have a broad idea about these fruit machines' contents. I'm not sure it's useful though. It's like I've got 3. Yeah, it's like I've got loads of swordfishes, isn't it? I've got 6 swordfishes floating around my grid at the moment, in effect. I don't think I can do this though, can I? If I've got... I'm just wondering about the difference between x minus 2 and x plus 3. I know that... Hang on. How do we... So I know A is in both of these sums. So the other digit on this diagonal is a C or a D. And it means it gives a result that is 5 different, because this one adds up to x minus 2, this adds up to x plus 3. The result on this diagonal is 5 different to the result on this diagonal, where I put in D or B on the diagonal. So if this was D, that would be A, this would be A, and that would be B. And then, so what we're being told here is that D is of a different polarity to B/C, whichever one of B and C is on this involved in these diagonals. If this is C, this is A, and that's going to be lower than DA, which is on the other side. So D is of an opposite polarity to B and C. So, So D is not 5, is it? Because D is involved in one of these sums. So the way to think about it is one of these sums is AD, and the other sum is exactly 5 different. So if D was 5, then the other sum would be impossible, because you're adding A to both sides of the equation, and D is going to be exactly 5 different then from B or C. So if D was 5, B or C would have to be 0 or 10. So D, which is this digit, is not 5. And whichever one of B and C... Oh, I've done it! I have done it! I've done it. E is 5. E is 5. Done it. There we go. There we go. Done it. It's all done. No, I think I have. I think I really have done it. Because, okay, because this is complicated to see, but I know that B or C is involved in one of these diagonals. B or C. But I also know, for exactly the same logic that I've just explained as to why D cannot be 5, whichever one of B and C is involved in one of these equations, it cannot be 5. It cannot be 5 because it would force D to be 0 or 10. Now, but the crucial thing here is, whichever one of these is therefore B or C is not 5, but that's not 5 either, and that's the other of B or C. So B and C, as a pair, are not 5. And if B and C are not 5, where does 5 go in this row? Well, it doesn't go there. So it must go here. So this is 5. But much more important, we now know that D or E is 5. And we've just proved exhaustively that D wasn't 5, because D is definitely involved in one of these equations. And that would require D to have a digit. It requires D to have a digit that is 5 away from it within the Sudoku parameter. So D cannot be 5, because for the reasons we've already outlined. So we not only know that this particular square is a 5, we know it must be E, which is that digit. So this is 5. This is 5. This is now definitely D. Hang on. Right, by the orange swordfish, this is a 5. And this is massive. This is absolutely massive, because I know that's not A. But I know A lives on this diagonal. So A is there, and that's going to propagate A around the grid, I think. So this is now not A, this is C, which means this is A, because we know A is on each of these diagonals. This is now D, so that needs to be A, which means this is B, which means this is, you've guessed it, A. Phone's buzzing at me again, doesn't look important. Come on. Oh, that was absolutely... I loved the rush I got from spotting that this was on a green line. Well, hang on. Now I can just unwind all these numbers, can't I? By which I mean B has to be 6. Because whatever A is, let's make A 3. If A was 3, this would add up to 8, and this would have to add up to 9. But A would be 3, so B has to take up the slack, has to account for the difference between this x and this x plus 1. So that's a 6. B is a 6, which is a 6 there. And then by the yellow swordfish, this is, oh, that's a 6 on a whisper, so that becomes a 1. Is the only digit that is 5 away from 6, 6 being the most monogamous of the digits. But also, okay, we can just continue this. This is x minus 2, so we can put 3 in as C, which goes here, which by swordfish goes here. And here we've got x plus 3, so this is 8. The one that's not A has to be 8. So we don't know what A is, but we do. But we have done a lot, actually. Oh, do I not know what D is, really? Is that true? It doesn't seem very true. Not sure. Hang on a minute. Let me mull this over. I feel there could be plenty of shouting at me going on at the moment, but I mean, this is quite complicated, isn't it? It is quite complicated. I'm going to allege that, and therefore I don't feel too guilty. I don't know. Sorry, I haven't got this, have I? What was that digit? That see though, that is D apparently. So D is 8. I know D is 8, do I? Well, I do actually, because I'm just that's just unwinding my orange swordfish. Okay, so that's 8. That's 8. Oh, that's big. So this square has to be low by whisper polarity. Can't be 4 because it wouldn't be 5 different from 8. So this is 1, 2, or 3, and this is 7, 8, or 9. Can't be 6 by Sudoku. Right. Right. Okay. So now we can avail ourselves of knowledge about F, A, and I, which are of the same polarity. So imagine A was high polarity, then these 3 digits would have to be selected from 6, 7, 8, and 9, and we'd have 5, 6, 7, 8s, and 9s in row 5. So A, F, and I are low digits, so all of these come out to be replaced by 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, but they're not, well, they're not 3s over here, they're not 3s. They're not, right, this is not a 4, because if that's a 4, it has to have 9. 4 is monogamous, it only has one partner on a whisper. You'd have to make G and H both 9, so that, right, this is big. Right, these are not 3s either. So 4 is one of those. A, which is this digit, is now 1 or 2. So I'm going to put 1 or 2 in the corner of all of those squares. So x is 6 or 7. Now what did we say 6x maxed out? Oh, no, that's fine. Oh, okay, what's this doing then? You see, this is the sort of thing that makes me wonder whether there's another way of doing this puzzle altogether. Okay. So G and H, right, okay, G and H are not 6 and 8, they are 7 and 9, so we can get rid of all of these little accoutrements. We haven't really been able to propagate our F, G's, H's and I's anywhere, so I think we can just replace these with numbers without sort of losing it. Oh, 1 can't be there. Oh, it's really... Can I do... No. Oh, rotten thing. I had an idea. Oh, I can do it. Right, I'm going to do striping. I'm going to do fruit machines. Okay. So, look at this 3x3. Would we agree that that has a 1 in it? I would agree it does. The 1 is in sort of this position, obviously. Now, therefore, now look at this 3x3. Where is the 1 in this 3x3? Well, we know it's not in any of those cells because that would put a second 1 in this 3x3. So there is a 1 in one of those squares. And therefore there is not a 1 here. So this is now a 2 or a 4. And there is a 1. I don't really know how to do this. I don't know if this is... Well, no, this is weird. This is weird, but I think it's correct. And this is not where I was going originally with this. But because I have now worked out that there must be a 1 by fruit machine logic in these 3 cells, I now know where that 1 is. Because if the 1 was in grey, it needs to appear in this the vertical fruit machine, and none of these squares can be a 1. So the 1 can't be in grey. The 1 can't be here by Sudoku. So the 1 is there. That is a 1 on a whisper, which means this is a 6, 7, 8 or 9. And therefore, well, I'm going to do vertical fruit machines then. Okay, again, because this one here... Oh, look, it's better than that. That one, that 3x3 actually has a 1 in it, so that can't be a 1. But more importantly, if we compare that 3x3, which has a 1 in it, to this 3x3, which needs a 1 but can't have a second 1 in those cells, there must be a 1 in these 3 cells. And therefore there is no 1 in that cell. And once there's no 1 in that cell, the 1 that exists in these 3 cells cannot now be in blue again, because it couldn't go in this fruit machine. And it can't be there, so that's a 1 by Sudoku. And now in this column we have a 2-4 pair. So the central digit is a 1, and that we know is A. So A is 1. We can propagate it round the grid. X is 6. So this diagonal adds up to 36. How many cells on it? 7. Averaging 5, therefore, basically. 5 and a very little bit. Okay. This square has to be low by fruit machine logic. Yes, so that can't be 6 because it would require a 1 beneath it, which would clash. Yes, okay, this can't be 8 because that 3x3 already has an 8 in it, so that's got to be very low. That gives me a 7-9 pair in this strange box here. How many ones, though, have we got in this grid? The answer is a great many. In fact, I've got 8. So I should be able... Oh no, have I got 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang on. What's going on here? No, I haven't put a 1 in this row. I must be able to do that. Yes, I think I can do that, can't I? I think it has to go, not there. Is this a 1? I think it is. I think that's a 1 by our old friend Sudoku. Yes, okay, and maybe we could get that by thinking about the fact there needed to be a 1 in one of those 3. Yes, we could. I don't know. There's a whole world of Simon's computering has gone completely and utterly doolally. Right, so what is the next most common digit that we've got in this grid? It could be 8s, could be 5s. Maybe. How many 5s? Oh no, I've only got 3. 5? No, I've done all my whispers as well, actually, so maybe 5 is not where we look. Sorry, I realise I'm just stopping here. I'm trying to see how to resolve these fruit machines, actually. And I'm not having any good ideas at all, which is very depressing. Why can't I see how to do this? Let's try a different digit. Let's try 3s. So 3s, problem is... Well, that's mad. I can do a 3. No, I can't. I can do... I nearly can, actually. I very nearly can do something interesting with 3s. I'm just going to have a think about this before I embark on a journey that's going nowhere. I mean, 3 is in the blue fruit machine. So 3 is in one of these squares. So 3 is not in those squares. 3 is not in these squares. So I'm thinking about this 3 by 3. And I can see that in this 3 by 3, because I can't put 3 in any of those squares, 3 is in one of those 2 cells. Now that means in this 3 by 3, I've already got a 3. Which means there is a 3 in this 3 by 3, but that could be in the blue. Okay, sorry. What about... I don't know. It would be nice to know whether this 2, 3 corresponded to that cell or that cell, wouldn't it? As soon as we can get something like that, we'll be away. And we'll be able to just fill in our fruit machines, and the world will feel like a very... Oh, hang on. No, I've got something much better. 5 is in the red fruit machine. So if 5 is in the red fruit machine, there is a 5 in one of those cells. And that means, let's look back at this 3 by 3 and ask where the 5 goes in. This is huge. Where does the 5 go in this 3 by 3? Because it can't go in those squares by Sudoku, and it can't. We know there's a 5 in the red fruit machine, so it's not in those. So it goes there. And that seems to give me a 3, and that means this square is a 9, because it has to be at least 5 different from 3, so it can't be 7 anymore, which gives me a 7 here, and a 7 here, and a 9 here, and a 9 here. And 7 on this whisper can't be next to 4, so that's a 2, and that's a 4. And, well, this is going to get quite interesting in a minute, I think. because now all of a sudden we are getting fruit machinage, aren't we? Oh, look, hang on. That 3 by 3 has a 2 in it. So that's got to be a 3. Ah, so that means that in the blue fruit machine, finally, we get a 3 here. This 2 or 4 must appear in this blue fruit machine, so it must be at the top now, which means that's a 2 or a 4, which means the 9s we can place in the blue fruit machine. We've now got a 9 in the red fruit machine, which corresponds there, so that's got to be a 9. The 5 must go here, the 4 must go here. So the 4 in the red fruit machine can just be filled in. There's a 2 here, or 2 or a 4 in the grey fruit machine. Oh, we can see it. We can do it by Sudoku. Okay, so in the grey fruit machine, we can do the 7s, and we can do the 8s. And now, what about the green fruit machine? Oh, hang on, look, 2s. We need 2s in the blue fruit machine. So the green fruit machine has 6 in one of these. Oh, it's a 6-4 pair, in fact. So that must be 4, which means that's 4, that's 6. That's 6, that's 7. This is amazing, isn't it? Once we got the fruit machines, once we got credit on our fruit machines, we could just fill them in. Now, what about this digit? That is 8. It can't be 9 by Sudoku, and it needs to be at least 5 different from 3. So it's 8. It's dramatically close to this 8, but there's no dot here to break this up, I don't think. Okay. Now, well, by fruit machine logic, I think this is an 8. Because this 158 triple has got to appear in that fruit machine. Yeah, that's an 8. I mean, I'm doing this in the most perverse, peculiar way. I do appreciate that, but I hope I hope you don't mind. You know, this is 419, so this has got to be 419. It's how I'm seeing these things. This is 653, so this has got to be 653. So that's got to be 5, and that's got to be 6. What about this row then? We need 4 and 7 in it, so that's 7 and that's 4. This 3 by 3 needs 2 and 3 in it, into those squares, so we can do it. 3 and 2. Let's look at that 3 by 3, which needs 6 and 8 into it, which we can fill in. Oh, right, okay, so this is the point of this 6x now. I've suddenly realised I've now got a lot of stuff on this. 23. I've got 23 on this, so these two squares have to add up to something. I haven't done the maths on this. X is 6, so 36 minus 23 is 13. Right, these two squares add up to 13, and they don't involve 9, so they're not 4, 9. And they don't involve 8. 8 sees both ends, so they're not 5, 8, so they're 6, 7. This is where it gets terrifying when they can't be that. That can't be 6. That's got to be 7, I think. Now, can this be 6? Yes, this is looking very good now. This column has not got something in it, a 7. This row is done. It's quite difficult for me, at least, to see the numbers here. I think that's got to be a 5. Okay, so we've got a lot of low digits. We need 2, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9. That's 2. This is the only place for 8 in the final column, so that's got to be 9, and that's got to be 7. What about this column then? 2 and 3 to place. Ah, why? Okay, that doesn't seem to be done. Bobbins. What about this one? 4 and 6. Yes, we can do that. That's got to be 6 at the top and 4 at the bottom. This one needs 3 and 9 in it. Yes, we can do that. 3 and 9. And 2 and 3. We're not getting any 3s in the corners today. Never mind, never mind. That's got to be a 2. That's got to be a something. 4, I think. And if that's all right, this column needs 5 and 9, and that's 9 and that's 5. Wow, and I think I've finished the puzzle. Let's see. Yes! Solve counter 18 in 37 and a half days. So it's not had that many solves, this one. That doesn't surprise me for a moment. That was seriously interesting. It took me exactly an hour. Oh, I'm not that unhappy with that, to be honest, because I think you could go down a lot of rabbit holes. But actually, the fruit machine idea, I think it sort of, it was certainly extremely helpful later on in the solve, and I think it was quite helpful at the start, because it gave me the idea of spotting that you have to put you know, one colour. This digit was appearing at least once in all of the small clues. It's a beautiful puzzle. It is in fact, it is a wonderful discovery. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy that you can have a fathomable ring of centres of 3x3s. Yeah, and perhaps that is the discovery, that forces the central digit of the puzzle into these. Is that it? Is that what we're being sort of led to here? Is that it forces that central digit into these strange little killer diagonals? Well, anyway, it's seriously clever. Whatever. Damasosos92, take a bow. I really enjoyed that, and I'm really hoping it's now 12:40. So if I edit this, get the instructions put into the screen, get the intro and outro music done, and then start it uploading. It does say I've got internet at the moment, so maybe we'll be okay, and this will appear today. I hope so. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.